little late. Something y'all just gonna have to get used to with me. Well, turn this off. Yep. Better late than never. Just don't know. The show on the road. Is that what they say? Yep. That's what they say. Get that show on the road. Alright, so I got this. That's taken care of. All I need to do is probably take this off. And I might decide to. I might actually decide to wear a mask. Down. So I didn't want that done. Flashlight now. Let me see. God. I remember watching the video, and they had the air while they were transferring mushroom portions onto the plates. What the fuck am I looking for? Fuck. I got 3 of them damn flashlights, and I don't know what the hell any of them are. Well, this is not good. I'm looking for something. I can't find it. Looking for my life. I lost my life down the road somewhere. What the hell? Shit together, wouldn't you? Well, got these little flashlights for my projects, and they just end up getting lost. Kind of blend in with everything in my house. Shut! This is not good. This is not good. This is not fucking good. Fuck. Oh, goddamn. I don't know where the hell this fucking plates are. What the hell did I fucking do with them? I got 3 of these flashlights. I can't find one of them. Fuck, you know? Well, I'll see if this one will work for me. I don't know if I can get this fucker to work or not. Fucking believable. I don't know what the hell to do here. I need a flashlight. And I had the little ones. And they're all fucking gone. Fucking bullshit. I can't fucking do this. God. Can't fucking do anything. I should have just bought the whole fucking store out. Is what I should have done. Yeah. Bitchin' flashlights. I even got one with a fucking tag on it. And I'll be damned. Oh, here's one. God damn it, I found one. We are in luck. I have found the light. As they say in the... Just fucking anyway. I suppose I gotta sterilize that too, huh? Jesus. Give me a break. Alright, let's see. So we're gonna get the gloves. I sort of need something to prod with. I don't really want to use that mask. We got another one here. like I'm playing fucking Dr. Seuss. Jesus Christ. Oh, shit. You only go through life once, right? Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Actually, wait a minute. Before I get started here. Before I get started, where the hell is... Let's see, I'm going to minimize that screen there. And I'm going to bring up this screen here. Okay, so I realize that my voice, I probably have to talk louder because the microphone is inside that terrarium. Let me just check my stream here. Okay, good. Sorry to keep y'all waiting. It's just that I fell asleep watching a movie, which is always a good thing. So, what I'm going to attempt to do, and I may do this before I put the gloves on because I don't want to catch my hands on fire, is I'm going to sterilize a toothpick. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm going to sterilize a toothpick. I've got a light, which is more or less not sterilized yet. That toothpick looks messed up. That toothpick is messed up. So I'm actually going to sterilize a toothpick here, which really doesn't make a lot of sense. But I don't make a lot of sense anyway, so, you know, what are you going to do? Alright, so I'm going to sterilize this thing here. Hey! The toothpick actually catches on fire. It's already red hot. Oh, I can't blow it out. That was quick. Oh, it even smells good. I've never sterilized a toothpick before, but there's probably nothing left of it but ash. Maybe I'll have to sterilize it with water. I mean with alcohol, because I'm thinking if I touch this toothpick to the ground here, there's going to be nothing but ashes on it or whatever. And yeah, that didn't work out very well. Oh shit. My toothpick burned up. I love this job. We'll just sterilize it with alcohol. Put these gloves on. Oh god. You know, maybe I just did that because I needed to have a laugh or something. I don't fucking know. Who knows, right? Makes the house smell better. Hey, I wonder if incense kills spores and shit in your house. So anyway, I was watching this video, and the video that I saw had the fan on top of the like the aquarium setup, and it was blowing air down into the aquarium and outside through the armholes. And they were transferring, maybe I think they were transferring something inside there. So I'm thinking to myself, I was falling asleep and I have these thoughts, and that video came to my mind, and I was thinking to myself, well, if you're transferring pieces of mushrooms and spores and everything else, or even you know, you're trying to do mushroom spore drops from your mushrooms and stuff, the spores are going to go flying, and they're ultra small. Well, I don't want spores all over my house, so that particular method of blowing the air around outside the tank is not going to work for me. So I'm still thinking, you know, I want the air as still as possible whenever I'm doing the transfer of the spore, doing the spore work, which that's going to be in a different video. But right now we're just going to check and see what's happened to the gelatin for my Petri dishes, which I've never done yet. I think now the mixtures were, let's see, 100 milliliters of the potato dextrose. I forget what the A stands for. Well, it ended up being a cup of distilled. How did I do that now? Okay, so I peeled off, I guess it was probably, it must have been like 100 grams of potato. I made the really small strips. There's pictures. I haven't done the pictures yet. I've made pictures of my process. So I did all that, put that in the pan. Then I added a cup of distilled water, which was not boiled. Then I boiled potato slices with the distilled water for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then I filtered that solution once through a larger type of sieve, and then I had my potato dextrose solution. Tried to filter it again through the coffee filter. It would not filter. Well, I found out that I did have another thinner type of sieve, which I could have tried to filter through that, but I'm wondering if that probably would have gave me problems. And so that gave me almost 100 milliliters of solution, which is exactly what the video of this other fellow that did in my previous video showed how he did that. So I got that, and it was that's a hot solution. Now then I took the gelatin powder, about, I think I used 1 full scoop, which is a teaspoon. In the bag you get about, in the small bag of the gelatin clear powder, you get about, according to the video, 2.5 grams or 2.5 teaspoons. So I used 1 teaspoon, and I sprinkled that over about maybe 2 or 3, probably closer to 3 tablespoons of. I must have used distilled water for that, and then I let that bloom inside the terrarium here in a sterile glass wide bowl. And what that does is allow the gelatin, I guess it floats through and it gels up the distilled water, and it gels it up. And then I scooped those gelled up pieces into the warm solution. And by doing it that way, and I found that first method watching a cooking show about gelatin. And I found out that blooming method. Instead of just pouring the gelatin into the whole solution and then mixing it, I let it bloom. It's called blooming it first in cool water, and then I took those chunks and I dropped them into the really hot, not boiling potato dextrose solution, which, by the way, also had. I think I used one. Did I use two? I can't remember now. I think I may have used I may have used 2 teaspoons of table sugar versus I'm thinking what I used for the gelatin is actually covers 2 grams of that gelatin, but I think I only used 1 teaspoon, so I may have used twice as much of the table sugar. But anyway, so I'm wondering if whether or not this gelatin is actually set or not, or how it's set or whatever. That's the whole story. But anyway, so I mixed that gelatin, the bloomed gelatin, into the hot solution, stirred that up really. Well, I didn't stir it. I stirred that up in the. I did stir it up. I used the measuring teaspoon thing, and I stirred that up into the little measuring jar that had the potato dextrose solution in it. That all worked very well. So the sugar was melted, the gelatin, bloomed gelatin was all melted, dissolved in it really nicely. And then I had the solution, which I brought into the jar, and then I poured the plates, which we did that yesterday. And we're going to go in there now, and we're going to find out if anything has set in there, and if it has not, I'm not going to show it on this video, but I'm going to, because I don't really have time, I'm going to get a small container that I'm going to sterilize inside and out, and I'm going to put my, very carefully, hopefully, put my containers in that, and I'm going to put that in the refrigerator, because since I'm using gelatin, I believe you put that in the refrigerator and that's what will get it to set. So I'm thinking that maybe this stuff is kind of in a liquid form, or if it's really jellied right now, and I'm hoping for, I didn't even use, well, the correct ratio for making your gelatin is like, I think they used two packages for, it's like one package for 1 cup of water, I think, and I think that's what I used. But I was wanting to use, or not a cup, yeah, a cup actually, and I think I used more than that. I only had 100 milliliters. That's like less than half a cup versus with the 1 teaspoon of gelatin. So I don't know. It seems to me that's going to make it really a lot stiffer. That's sort of what I'm looking for, sort of. I'm hoping it's not like turned into rock or rock hard or something. So I got this alcohol in the open here, and I'm talking a mile a minute. I'm gonna clean my gloves, and then I'm gonna clean this toothpick. Oh god, this shit stinks. Then I'm gonna go in there, and I am wearing a mask, because now we've got that. I got one container in there that's open, and that's what we're going to use to look at. And I don't seem to be getting a good alcohol presence on my glove. It sure as hell smells, that's for sure. It just doesn't seem to be, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe if I dab it on instead of wipe it. Okay, it's working. So we're going to find out how lucky we got. And I'm going to put that there. I probably am touching things that are not quite sterile. What are you going to do, you know? Oh, now I'm going to take this toothpick, and I'm going to attempt to sterilize the toothpick. Well, that's not going to work out very well. I can't really tell what the hell I'm doing here. I want this toothpick sterile, so I've got to wipe this toothpick again. Somehow. It's not working out very well for me here. Okay, that's good right there. I get the toothpick inside the Kleenex. Get that all sealed. And then I'm going to grab the flashlight here. This is going to be difficult as hell. And like I said, I am wearing a mask. And I'll get my head under here. I'm going to try to open this up and be very careful not to move things, because I don't want movement if I can help it. Now I'm going to take, so I have to move this very gently. Okay, I see the container that I want. I've learned a different language when I get upset. I speak some foreign language. I need a step stool. I'm too damn small. Alright, so I've got flashlight in this hand. And I'll put my sterile glove through the plastic bag, which has the toothpick on it. And first test what I'm going to do. Oh shit, you know what I just did? Well, ashes are more or less pretty sterile. I want to take the flashlight looks nice. Oh my god, it looks nice. That looks really nice. I want to frickin' have a party and get drunk tonight. I can't. Now, the Petri dish has got moisture on the top. There's really, I don't know what to do about that moisture. Unless if I can't open it, you know. I don't know what they did with the moisture business. But anyway, I'm gonna actually, I tell you what, let's grab the toothpick here. And what I'm going to do, very carefully, without touching the end, is I'm going to prod one end of the gelatin. Okay, it's got a stiff feel to it. I think I'm happy with the texture, but I almost still think I want to put it in a refrigerator and put it in a sealed container, and I'll try to, I will get this container up here so that we can see it in the video. I see particulates, dust particulates somewhere. And then this is the open vial. This is one of my controls. And we're going to attempt to see something here. Okay, that's tipped over quite a bit and it's not moving. It's 90 degrees right there. So it has set, but the texture is not like agar. It's a lot spongier. As you can see, possibly in the video, I will go outside and see if it's coming through the screen. I can. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Well. So, it's got a nice smooth surface, but it's it's got a milky color from the potato dextrose and that sort of thing. But there seems to be no growth of any mold after 24 hours, and this is an open container. And so, I think it came out well. I really do. I'm impressed by the job that I have done here. Now this is the sealed one. I'm just going to gently take a look here. You can see I believe that's all. This is also a control, meaning I'm not growing anything in this container right here. But the other problem is if I use that as a control and I put anything in the refrigerator, that's going to go in the fridge too. Unless if I use this other one as a control, but I really don't want to. So anyway, I'm going to call this a major success so far. I'm just wondering about putting it in a refrigerator. I mean, I don't really see a problem with that. The only question is, do I really have the time tonight to do it? Or do I just go ahead? Actually, you know, as a matter of fact, what I will do is I will put these in a small container and sterilize it and put it in the refrigerator. And then I will have to do a separate stream on, I'll have to work on getting, I've got fern spores, but I don't think I want to grow fern spores on these, because the fern spores I can make last longer. But I gotta take my spores and drop them in here, and in a clean, sterile environment. So that's, believe it or not, that's the stream right here. It's all done. I am very happy, except for the fact I don't know about the moisture on these. I don't know about the moisture. I don't think you're really supposed to have any. I don't really know what to do about that. I'll have to watch some videos or something. I don't know. It seems like these other containers with just the aluminum foil on it, yeah, they should have been able to breathe, these Petri dishes, but they didn't. So anyway, that's that. I'm going to close this up here. I am happy with the results of the gelatin setup, and I think the texture should be a little bit stiffer, and I don't think that putting them in the refrigerator is gonna make any difference. But the only reason for that is because, number one, I want more room in here to work with dropping my spores. I'll be dropping spores from mushrooms. That's going to be a problem because I have to be careful doing that. And then at the same time, depending on the mushrooms that I've got, I'm going to try to work on getting the samples that I want, and I'm going to put those into small dishes with hydrogen peroxide to sterilize them. And then I will take those pieces and put them in the Petri dishes. And then I have to label somehow. Now I think I have probably, God, I don't know, I must have at least half a dozen, 6 to 8 different types of mushrooms. So if I get 4 Petri dishes, and I'm only growing the mycelium from the mushroom scrapings, what am I doing with the spores? I'm dropping the spores, and then I'm going to save the spores. Then I'm going to take the spores and I'm going to make another set of this potato dextrose solution. But I'm thinking I'm gonna drop the spores. I'm gonna keep the spores in the aluminum foil because the fellow that I watched on YouTube said he can store his spores that way. Fold them up, put them in a plastic piece of. I got some plastic Ziploc type containers, and he said they will last in the refrigerator for a year. So I'm good with that because that's, I'm not going to keep them in there for a year. I'm planning on doing something with them, but I need to get the spores dropped from the mushrooms, and then we're going to try to grow the mycelium from just the spores. I think. I don't know. I have to look at some of the videos because most people are just doing the clones, which is grabbing the pieces of the mushroom. Now there was a couple of videos on that. I saw one video where the different parts of the mushroom, the main part of the mushroom, the fruit body was collected, and they were cut up in small squares and sterilized, and they used those on the Petri dishes. Well, I just watched another video today in a laboratory setup where they took the innermost part of, they took the knife, they cut the mushroom in half along with the top part of the stem. And what they did was they took the white material that is enclosed inside the stem because they said that's the most protected area of the mushroom. So, maybe we can try the same mushroom and just use 2 or 3 different places on the Petri dish. but I only got one Petri dish, and I don't know how many mushrooms I got, and I don't know the state of the mushrooms because I haven't seen them for about 2 weeks. They've been in plastic bags in my car. They're probably all wet and everything, and I don't even know. I'm thinking that the mushrooms have to be dried, and some of them may not drop spores and everything else, and I got other stuff mixed in there with the mushrooms, and it's pretty much a contaminated sort of a mess. But the mushrooms themselves, I can probably do something with. Then I got moss in there with them, and I also have ferns in there. So I have a mixture of a multitude of spores from a few different places around the world. Yeah, I've traveled from corner to corner in this globe to grab all this stuff and put it in my little box here. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll put these dishes in another dish, and then I'll try to figure out my mushroom situation tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, with any luck, the stream will involve working with a set of mushrooms that I'll already have them separated and put into maybe a Ziploc bag, which is more or less, well, I could probably sterilize it. I could do all of that outside of the container here, and then put them mushrooms in there, and then work with them in here, and then I can have like maybe an aluminum foil on the bottom that's sort of clean, and then work with that mushroom, and then once I'm done with that, then maybe change the aluminum foil, work with the next one, that sort of thing. So I will have all of that figured out tomorrow, I hope. So I'm happy with this. I think it is what it is. The question now is, will it grow mycelium? And we won't know that. I guess it takes it only takes 48 hours to start seeing some mycelium growth. And I'm not just throwing this stuff together. I'm doing this all in the best sterile environment that I can in my house. So consequently, I don't want air blowing from the top out where my arms are, because I don't want spores and everything running around my house. I've discovered that there's moss spores, and that's really going to be interesting to check out, because I do have, I think, 6 to 8 different mosses, or maybe not that many, maybe half a dozen, and they have these little little plant-like things that grow out with this little seed on the end of it. I mean, I didn't know this, and on the end of that, on the inside of that little seed, it's like dust in there, and that dust is like 1,000,000 spores inside that moss seed, which I find that really fascinating. And the fact that they're so small makes me wonder whether or not that there has to be some possibility of finding spore material in plant fossil rock that may have survived millions of years. And that's the intent of this whole madness, is to see if we can find this organic material, and there's a way to extract that from plant fossil rock, which I'm not going to get into in this video. We'll just save it for the next one. Thank you for watching, and again, tomorrow we will work on probably maybe mushrooms, and check out some moss spores and all kinds of good stuff. So that takes care of that little video. And I did have my mask on too this time, by the way, but I seem to have gotten a little bit of ash from that burnt toothpick that I tried to sterilize. It's like, why? This guy's trying to sterilize a toothpick. So I'm just going to see if I can wipe this off. It's just a little bit. It's not really that much. So I'm wiping my glove off with this alcohol stuff again. Oh God, I almost fucking spilt the alcohol. Jesus. Pardon my French, Lord. Oh my God, I almost spilt it. I got cut on the potato cutter, and that wasn't even while I was cutting the potatoes. It was after the fact when I was trying to wash it. Anyway, I'm gonna put this back, and then I can shut the stream off, and maybe I will see whoever is watching tonight. I will see you tomorrow night after I get these things packaged away here. And thank you for watching. Woohoo! The box is missing. I sort of don't like the fact that, I wish that the potato extract setting is not quite as, well, it's not quite as clear as I would have liked. I wish that it was more like translucent or whatever, so that you could see. I'm trying to protect the ends of my gloves here, and I want to get them into the bag. It's kind of a pain, actually. But whoever said anything in life is going to be easy, So I'm doing this more or less in better than 50% sterile conditions. Let's put it that way. That's my opinion of the whole thing. All right, so we'll grab this. Done with the stream, and so I'll tell you whatever I did later tomorrow after I get all this stuff cleaned up. And thank you for watching.